Welcome back to the Ripewave audio community, where we explore together all types of home audio systems from hi-fi to home theater. My name is John, and for this video we continue our series on AV processors and receivers as a buyer's guide to what is available in 2020. Our fourth video in this series is subtitled Part 4, 25 with 12 channels, and complements Parts 1 through 3, where we explored 16, 15, and 13 channel processor models. If you missed previous videos of the AV Processor Receiver Buyer's Guide 2020 series, I have provided the links for your convenience in the description. As we count down processors by channel, Ripewave Audio has examined 63 models from 21 different brands. Not all brands have a 12-channel model, but this is the most crowded grouping so far, with 25 models identified. With this video, we see the first entries from NAD, Rotel, Lexicon, Anthem, and Sony. As mentioned in the 13-channel video, multiple subwoofers can be controlled independently or with the same settings, with dual outputs being wired in parallel. Our research for this video identified that there are twice as many 12-channel units versus 13-channel units. If you are comprising a system with 7 speakers at ear level and 4 channels up above, you will either need to have a 13-channel 7.2.4 processor or a 12-channel 7.1.4 processor. Many manufacturers are taking liberty by claiming .2 when their processor simply has 2 subwoofer connections on the back, but not providing any sort of independent control. We are finding the general representation of the channels very confusing, especially with AVRs, where they sometimes refer to channels of amplification and other times refer to total processing capability. There are cases where neither representation aligns with the Ripewave audio perspective. Once again, we will use Onkyo as an example. Let us look at 2 of Onkyo's own sources, their web page and their manual for their TX-RZ740 model. The web page for this model identifies it as a 9.2 channel network AV receiver. Now, the initial assumption is that this unit has 11 channels of processing capability with independent subwoofer control. As we have already validated other units from Onkyo, such as their flagship TX-RZ840, as supporting independent subwoofer control, the .2 claim may hold up. Where we start to get confused is within the same web page, lower down. They say this receiver, which supports up to 7.2.4 channels of 3D sound with an external amp, so 13 channels of processing, not 11? Okay. We have to give Onkyo credit for providing clarification on the need for external amplification. By focusing their main 9.2 claim to align with the all-in-one receiver capability that this unit will provide both processing and amplification to support 9.2 channels without the need for anything additional, we find the intent there refreshing. However, Ripewave Audio still likes to confirm web page claims by consulting the manual, which is typically more accurate portrayal of what the processing capabilities really are. In this case, we search for subwoofer, and on page 15, where the rear panel is being described, we see a deviation from the content of the TX-RZ3100 manual. For the TX-RZ740, the subwoofer pre-out text states that, up to 2 powered subwoofers can be connected. The same signal is output from each subwoofer pre-out jack. This tells us for this model, multi-sub control is not discrete, and that Ripewave Audio will consider this to have .1, not .2 processing. To validate the other parts of the 7.2.4 claim, we turn to the supported speaker configurations of the manual. Interestingly, a search for 7.2.4 finds no results, but a search for 7.1.4 does. We see on page 18 where all the supported speaker configurations are listed. As we are focused on the most complex, we select the 7.1.4 plus zone setup on page 65. Their drawing is helpful, but they number speakers up to 14. Then you see that speaker 6 is a subwoofer, 7 and 8 are externally powered, and then since 13 and 14 are for a second zone, we don't count those in the processing count. The overall label here of 7.1.4, or 12 channels of processing, we agree with as being aligned with the Ripewave Audio counting convention. The bottom line is to be careful and research the counts so you ensure that you are getting what you expect. Understand what is powered internally versus externally before you buy. With the 25 12-channel models in this review, we see a wider price range than with the 13-channel models. Now, as we continue our research, we are finding that the table for the entry cost of prices, along with the price distribution chart, have data that we have needed to keep revising as we discover additional models or obtain a better understanding of the real processing counts. So the table now looks like for cost of entry for a 5.1, $200, 7.1, $350. For 9.1, we're going to hold on that. We're still doing research, so we're going to leave that as to be determined, and we want to limit the risk of error, so we're going to hold off on that. But we know now that 12 channels comes in at $799, so our 11.1 system, 13 channels for 11.2 system at $1,200, a 13.2 15-channel system at $2,500, and to get a processor with all 16 channels is you have to meet at least $2,999. The Onkyo TX-RZ740 currently sets the cost of entry for 12-channel models at $799. We will now provide an overview of the full field of 12-channel processors, but we won't get into the full details of these products with the first pass. As stated earlier, we see the first entries from NAD, Rotel, Lexicon, Anthem, and Sony with this popular processing count. Here, there is a mix of mainstream and upmarket brands. Of the 25 models, 9 are AV processor separates, so receivers dominate both the 12 and 13 channel groupings. Now, once again, we will explore these from highest to lowest cost, and this time the list begins with McIntosh. Now, given the large number in this group, we will move a little more quickly through them this time. McIntosh MX160. The last appearance from McIntosh was the 16-channel MX170. The MX160 was introduced a few years earlier in 2015. As with its predecessor, it looks very similar on the front and back. With the reduction in channels, the MX160 comes under $10,000 at $9,900 and supports the same room-perfect correction software from Lingdorf Audio, and Atmos, Aural 3D, and DTS-X is supported. McIntosh MX122. The McIntosh MX122 has a different layout from the MX160 and MX170 on both sides. This is a 2019 model and sells for $7,000. While the MX122 adds IMEX Enhanced support, McIntosh is positioning the MX122 below the MX160 with the switch from Room Perfect to the Odyssey Multi-EQ XT solution. Support for Dolby Atmos, Aural 3D, and DTS-X remains. NAD M17 V2 Master Series. NAD makes its first appearance in this series with their M17 V2 Master Series processor. New Acoustic Dimension, or NAD as it's better known by, was founded in London in 1972. NAD has a philosophy to only include genuinely useful features for aesthetically understated designs when compared to other competitors' products. NAD Electronics is currently owned by Canadian company Lenbrook Group and also sells products under the Blue Sound brand, which feature NAD's direct digital technology. The M17 V2 is part of NAD's Master Series and is the only AV processor separate NAD currently offers. As their flagship, this unit sells for $6,599 and has been available since 2018. It is among the large group of products providing Dirac Live for its room correction. Dolby Atmos and DTS-X serves as its immersive formats. Rotel RAP-1580 Mark II. Rotel is another newcomer to this series. Established in 1961, Rotel is a family-owned Japanese manufacturer of high-end audio and video equipment. The RAP-1580 Mark II is Rotel's flagship AVR. This updated Mark II version was recently launched this year to add Dirac Live support. Dolby Atmos, DTS-X, and IMAX Enhanced are supported. The unit has a striking look, and the large display is appreciated by Ripewave Audio. This unit sells for $4,999. The Rotel RAP-1580. The RAP-1580 is the first generation model and is still available from Rotel without Dirac Live support present in the Mark II edition for a $500 cost savings at $4,500. Other than the lack of room correction support, this unit appears to be identical to the Mark II. Lexicon RV-9. Founded in 1971 and headquartered in Waltham, Massachusetts, Lexicon was acquired by Harman in 1993, a subsidiary of Samsung Electronics. Lexicon was a pioneer of digital reverb and effects, supplying equipment for the pro audio market at first and later introducing consumer-grade products for the home. Lexicon introduced its Logic 7 surround sound processing algorithm to expand to a stereo or 5.1 source to 7 speakers. Lexicon introduced automatic room correction to the market, which they demonstrated at the 2004 Consumer Electronics Show, CES, as an $800 option for their then MC-12. The RV-9 is the flagship model of Lexicon. Launched in 2018, the RV-8 sells for $3,599. Now partnered with Dirac, Dirac Live room correction is provided. This unit supports Dolby Atmos, DTS-X, and IMAX Enhanced. Anthem MRX1120. Canadian-based Anthem describes its company as having over 20 years of experience providing hands-on design and innovative audio engineering experience. They say on their website, Anthem products provide an unprecedented level of reliability and functionality. They deliver one of the industry's highest performance to value equations. The Anthem MRX1120 is their top AV receiver and was recently introduced in 2020. This $3,499 unit provides Dolby Atmos and DTS:X support. Anthem is another company who has chosen to develop their own room optimization software. Theirs is called ARC, Anthem Room Correction. Rotel RAP-1576 Mark II. The Rotel RAP-1576 Mark II was introduced in 2020 for $3,500. Sitting below their flagship, the RAP-1580 Mark II, the RAP-1576 Mark II has one less HDMI input and drop support for IMAX Enhance. It is also packaged in a slimmer design with a two-line display instead of the large, high-res, multicolored panel used in the $1,500 more expensive flagship. Like the flagship, Direct Live, Dolby Atmos, and DTS:X are supported. Lexicon MC-10. Cosmetically aligned, the Lexicon MC-10 is the processor-separate version of the RV-9. Launched at the same time in 2018, the MC-10 sports XLR balanced outputs for external amplifier connection, along with support for Direct Live, Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and IMAX Enhance. The MC-10 processor-only version sells for $100 less at $3,499. The Anthem AVM-60. Anthem takes a similar approach to the AVM-60 as Lexicon, with the AVM-60 being the processor-only version of its MRX1120 processor. While the pre-outs become balanced XLR for the processor-only version, the support for Anthem Room Correction, ARC, Dolby Atmos, DTS:X remains the same as the receiver version, but is $500 less with a list price of $3,000. Marantz SR8012. The Marantz SR8012 is a 2017 model. Generally speaking, Marantz has moved to independently controllable subwoofer outputs with its more recent models, so Marantz only has a few products left with parallel subwoofer outputs, and this is one of them. Newer units also support 8K and DTS:X Pro, so if those features are important to you, pass on this model. Otherwise, this model is still feature-rich with Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, IMAX Enhance, and Odyssey Multi-EQ XT room optimization and is priced at $2,999. NAD T778. The T778 is the top receiver in the NAD portfolio. While embodying the typical NAD minimalist styling, the T778 is not derived from the Master Series M17 processor. The T778 amplified model has different layouts front and back and includes a modular design for adding replacing cards. Support for Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and Direct Live remains the same as the NAD flagship and sells for $2,999. This 2020 release is a few years newer and is considerably less expensive than the flagship, so we can assume that the internal components are at a lower grade to justify the $3,600 difference in cost, despite having 9 channels of internal amplification. Onkyo PR-RZ5100. Onkyo launched the PR-RZ5100 in 2017 as their processor-separate offering. While similar to other models released at the same time, this is a 12-channel model, as the dual subwoofer outputs are wired in parallel versus independent control provided in their receivers of the same price range. Support for Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and AccuX room correction remain the same. Arcam AVR10. The Arcam AVR10 is the 12-channel version of the AVR20 and AVR30, which supports 16 channels. While each have 7 channels of internal amplification, it is the reduction of the pre-outs for the AVR10 which sets this unit as a 12-channel product. This series supports Dolby Atmos, Aural 3D, DTS:X, IMAX Enhance, and Dirac Live for room optimization. The AVR10 with its 12 channels comes in at $2,500 versus $4,000 and $6,000 for the AVR20 and AVR30 respectively. Due to the way the pre-outs are grouped on the back, we happen to miss the AVR20 and AVR30 when we put together Part 1, 16 with 16 channels. Ripewave Audio will have to update accordingly. Anthem MRX 720. The MRX 720 sits under the MRX 1120 within the Anthem's receiver line. Also released in 2020 and is priced at $2,500. The unit is $1,000 lower due to the reduction of internal amplification from 11 to 7 channels. The MRX 720 is therefore a good choice if you plan to go with external amplifiers. Otherwise, both support Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and Anthem room correction, or ARC. NAD T777V3. Launched in 2017, the NAD T777V3 is an older model from NAD. It is cosmetically different from the next model up, the T778. While priced $500 under the T778, the T777V3 has a 7.1 input set, whereas the more expensive model does not. Both support Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and Dirac Live. Rotel RSP-1576. Released in 2018, the Rotel RSP-1576 appears to be the same as the newer Mark II edition announced this year, but without support for Dirac Live present in the Mark II model. If you don't need Dirac Live, save yourself $1,100 and go with the first edition for $2,400. Marantz AV7705. The AV7705 is the other older 12-channel model Marantz is holding on to without support for independent subwoofer control. However, this one is an AV processor separate, whereas the SR8012 is a receiver. Launched in 2016, the AV7705 supports Dolby Atmos, Aural 3D, DTS:X, IMAX Enhance, and Odyssey Multi-X XT room correction and sells for $2,199. Sony STR-ZA5000ES. Sony finally makes it to this series of videos with their flagship STR-ZA5000ES. Sony may be the most recognizable name in home electronics, but in recent years has not focused much on the high-end audio market as in the past. They can still turn out a few respectable products, but a large part of their portfolio is driven for the mass market, with video game consoles and image sensors dominating. Sony is also strong in premium TV market, as they are the 5th largest manufacturer of TVs in the world. Founded in 1946 as Tokyo Tushin Kujo, or TTK, the Sony name was introduced in 1958 as a combination of Sonos and Sunny, meaning young, to be perceived as smart and presentable. Sony has a rich history of innovation in both audio and video worlds. The Sony ES range was introduced as Sony's top range as the elevated standard. Today, it seems Sony is using the ES badge also to denote that products are targeted for the custom installation market. Such is the case with the flagship STR-ZA5000ES and the other ES badged products we will cover in this series. Room calibration is handled by Sony's Digital Cinema Automatic Calibration, DCAC, which is not promoted well. This unit has the DCAC EX variant. Also supported is Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and IMAX Enhanced formats. Launched in 2015, the STR-ZA5000ES sells for $1,999. Yamaha RX-A3080. Yamaha drops into the 12-channel field with the RX-A3080. Coming down from their 13-channel flagship, the RX-A5200, the A3080, also released in 2019, is a receiver and therefore forgoes all but the front-channel balanced XLR outputs, albeit unbalanced outputs remain. The subwoofer output moves to a parallel output. Both follow a similar design language as part of their Avantage range. This unit sells for $1,990 and comes with the WiPow room correction, Dolby Atmos, DTS:X like their flagship model. Lexicon RV-6. Aside from a slight drop in amplifier output per channel from the RV-9, the Lexicon RV-6 is very similar on the surface to the RV-9, yet $1,600 less expensive at $1,999. Both support Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, IMAX Enhanced, and Direct Live. Arcam AVR390. Arcam has kept the aging 2017 release, the AVR390, in its lineup despite having introduced the comparable AVR10 in 2019. The AVR390 lacks IMAX Enhanced and Aural 3D of the AVR10, but still has Dolby Atmos and DTS:X support along with Direct Live for $1,000 less at $1,499. Onkyo TX-RZ840. At this depth of review, the TX-RZ840 appears to be an example of more for less. Compared to the $2,599 PR-RZ5100 processor, the TX-RZ840 receiver is 2 years newer, has 9 channels of amplification, and adds IMAX Enhance. We can assume the processor-only model has better components under the hood, given that the TX-RZ840 saves you $1,400 with its $1,199 price tag, and same support for AccuEQ room calibration. Denon AVR-X3600H. Denon has its lone 12-channel entry with the AVR-X3600H. Like sister company Marantz, Denon's new models give dual subwoofers independent control. As the AVR-X3600H is from 2019, its subwoofer outputs are wired in parallel. The AVR-X3600H has support for Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, IMAX Enhanced, and Odyssey Multi-EQ XT room correction at $1,099. Onkyo TX-RZ740. The Onkyo TX-RZ740 finishes the 12-channel roundup and takes the prize as the first sub-$1,000 unit by a wide margin at $799. Despite this low cost, this unit still supports 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and IMAX Enhance. Furthermore, there is still a full set of pre-outs for 11.1 connectivity. However, this unit is one of those in this series that does not have any form of room calibration. This model came out in 2019. So there you have it. 25 processors available today with 12 outputs. Wow. This was a challenging collection to cover in one video. Not only for the sheer number of products to cover, but the complexity of the study needed to accurately determine the true channel processing capability. There was a lot of double and triple checking to ensure that I got the data correct, so hopefully errors were avoided. We can send out corrections if that is the case. I am amazed that we had to get into the 4th video of this series until we saw Sony appear. While each brand has its own strategy for which channel counts they will target, it is certainly clear that 12 channels is a popular choice. The question is whether or not more brands will adopt independent subwoofer outputs and transition their 12-channel models to 13-channel models, as Denon and Marantz have done recently. Now, I'm not sure if there will be such a movement to 15 and 16 channel models, given the investment those configurations require of the owner for additional amplifiers and speakers. Will it become more common also to see .4 controllable subwoofers? Time will tell. The Ripewave audio recommendation is to study the manuals carefully before you purchase to ensure the processor supports the correct number of channels the way you want them supported. As you balance out which speakers will get powered by external amplifiers versus receiver source power, also consider the quality of the power coming from the receiver, especially if it is a more budget-conscious design versus the efficiency of your speakers and how effortless you want them driven. As we head into smaller channel counts of 10, 9, 8, etc., we still see lots of products to cover, but at some point those products will focus on traditional 5.1 and 7.1 setups, not supporting any immersive height channels, albeit they may still claim support for Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, etc. If you own a 12 or 13 channel processor receiver, I would be interested in hearing your feedback. Please include in the comments section. Do you feel that 12 channels are sufficient? Or do you feel it important to independently control dual subwoofers? That feedback would be useful to the Ripewave audio community. Furthermore, if you enjoyed this video and are interested in enhancing your audio experience, please like and subscribe to this Ripewave audio community and be sure to select the bell icon so you will be notified as soon as the next video is posted. Until then, keep evolving your audio experience.